fraction of a second. The number of hours a machine had been running. Those two things decided whether 28 soldiers lived or died. The Patriot missile system was originally designed as a mobile air defense weapon. It was built to shoot down aircraft and cruise missiles, and the Army expected each battery to operate for only a few hours at one location before moving. That assumption, a few hours at a time, was baked into everything about how the system worked. Then came Desert Storm. Patriot batteries were suddenly being used in a completely different way. Instead of moving every few hours, they stayed in place and ran continuously for days at a time. And instead of tracking relatively slow aircraft, they were trying to intercept Scud missiles, short-range ballistic missiles that came in much faster. The problem was hiding in the software. The Patriot's computer calculated elapsed time using a binary approximation that was slightly truncated. For short runs, the error was negligible. But as the system ran continuously, hour after hour, that tiny inaccuracy accumulated. And that accumulating clock error mattered because of how Patriot tracked its targets. The radar didn't search the entire sky constantly. It predicted where a detected missile should be a moment later, then placed a narrow tracking window, called a range gate, around that predicted position. The system looked through that small window to confirm the target and update its track. When the computer's clock drifted, the predicted position drifted with it. The range gate shifted, and if it shifted far enough, the radar would be searching confidently in the wrong part of the sky, while the real missile flew through a region the system wasn't even watching. The Government Accountability Office later calculated the magnitude. After 100 hours of continuous operation, the clock error reached about 0.34-33 seconds. That doesn't sound like much, but at the speeds these missiles traveled, 0.3433 seconds translated to about 687 meters, more than 2,000 feet, of range gate shift. The flaw wasn't a secret. Israeli batteries had been operating Patriot systems during the war, and their data showed that the range gate was shifting by roughly 20% after just 8 hours of continuous use. Army officials knew about it. They confirmed internally that targeting accuracy degraded as runtime increased. And there was a fix. Two fixes, actually. The simplest one was procedural. Rebooting the system every few hours would reset the computer clock to 0 and wipe out the accumulated error. The more permanent solution was a software modification that compensated for the long-run inaccuracy. It had already been developed. On February 21st, a message went out to Patriot operators in the field. It warned that operating the system for very long periods could cause the range gate to shift enough to lose targets. But the message never defined very long. It didn't say 8 hours or 24 hours or any specific number. And Army officials assumed that in practice, batteries wouldn't remain powered on long enough for the tracking to actually fail. Alpha Battery at Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, had been running for more than 100 consecutive hours. On February 25, 1991, an Iraqi Scud missile came in. The Patriot radar detected it initially, but then failed to track it. Without a confirmed track, the system couldn't launch an interceptor. The Scud kept coming. It hit an army barracks. 28 American soldiers were killed. The next day, February 26th, the modified software arrived in Dhahran. The Government Accountability Office later reported that the delay in getting it distributed was partly due to wartime air and ground transportation constraints. It had been on its way. One day too late. The Patriot radar at Dhahran didn't go blind. It didn't fail to see the missile. It looked confidently at the wrong part of the sky. The range gate that should have enclosed the incoming Scud was searching nearly 700 meters away from where the missile actually was, because the system's own computer clock had drifted after running for more than 4 days straight, far beyond the few hours it was designed for. A mobile system built for short bursts of operation was used continuously for more than 100 hours against a faster, different threat. A known accumulating clock error, already measured, already understood, and simply fixable, was addressed in software that arrived 1 day after the catastrophe it was meant to prevent. A warning that said very long but never defined it left operators with no threshold, no line to tell them when too long had finally arrived. The accumulation was foreseeable. The remedy was available. The fix was in transit. The constraint wasn't missing technology. It was continuous runtime against the design assumption that no one operationally enforced. And the gap between fixable and fixed was exactly 1 day and 28 lives.